In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth moving creatures that have life." And male and female created he them. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply." And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good.
It's only 250,000 years ago that a creature more human than ape discovered to its amazement that it could survive on two legs. Our ancestors, Homo erectus, vertical man, had arrived. Up to this point in evolution, sexual relations had been similar to that of other creatures. The female presented her rear to the male, and intercourse was functional and purposeful. But with the arrival of vertical man, what was deemed natural began to change. As Homo erectus evolved into Homo sapiens, that is, humans capable of reasoning, language, and introspection, it soon became apparent that sex was not only an instinctive function, but it was procreative and reproductive too. When our ancestors discovered that babies didn't appear naturally, like the buds in spring, but were a consequence of sexual intercourse, attitudes to sex began to change, and 5,000 years ago, as complex and sophisticated human communities began to emerge, humans came to realise that to live harmoniously together, certain boundaries about what was sexually acceptable needed to be drawn, although what was sometimes deemed natural then would be frowned upon today. 2,500 years ago, by the time of the Hebrews, prescribed rules and regulations about what was acceptable and natural were written down, and practices deemed unnatural like incest, homosexuality and bestiality became punishable by death, and what was considered natural in terms of sexual activity came to be dominated by these biblical injunctions. But over the last 60 years or so, questions about what is natural in terms of human sexuality have re-emerged.
In the 1940s, Alfred Kinsey, a biology professor at Indiana University in America, began interviewing tens of thousands of men and women about their sex lives. Confronted by a generation not used to revealing their private thoughts and feelings about sex, this was no easy task. To protect these intimate revelations, Professor Kinsey encoded people's responses so that personal identities would remain confidential and anonymous. Kinsey's published research, the Kinsey Report, shocked America and quickly became a bestseller. People brought up to believe that only heterosexual sex within marriage was the norm were presented with a different reality. The report revealed, among other things, that 10% of males were homosexual for at least 3 years of their lives, that 26% of married females had extramarital experiences at some time during their married lives, that 90% of American men sometimes masturbated,